everyone. I wanted to touch base with you after round 4 and talk about where everyone is at. So this is clearly a foot race, so everybody's kind of at different spots. I did stop everyone at round 4 to make sure that we could just kind of see where everybody's at and kind of do a status check to make sure that we're okay, and I could touch base on a couple of things. So just looking, a few of you have a couple, well, a round or two to catch up. Not too bad though. So get out there and get those rounds in. It shouldn't stop you anymore from proceeding all the way to the end. You can continue to work through the rounds, but I would recommend not doing them all in 1 week. I just think it's too much. I like that you process things a little bit differently, so I think it would be good to do that. So taking a look at kind of where you're at, clearly this round did not go very well. So I'll take a look at this one and we'll see what we're doing that we need to fix. So I'll jump in there. But we have a few folks that are doing pretty well. So 90 out of 100 is a really awesome score. Definitely out on top. 71 is also a really good score. So seeing where everybody's at and kind of how they're working through things, I think is really important. I want to take a look here. Sarah's taking a look, 3s for TQM. Financials are looking really awesome, stacked out, but that's really the only major issue, and product count, but otherwise everything else is just like, this is peachy and wonderful. And then this one we'll take a look at as well, because we're struggling a little bit with TQM and also with our customer buying criteria and really understanding. So let's take a look and see what we can do when I log into each of the teams. So I'm going to log into Sarah's here, just so you can kind of see what her foundation fast track looks like. And I mean, you can all see this, I guess, but just taking a look at hers, actually can't, so we'll take a look at hers. But I want to show you one, her sales are at $109 million, which is awesome. Profit margin, or cumulative margin, is at 42%, which is excellent, leading all of her competition in here, and a 32 million cumulative profit. So definitely after 4 rounds, doing really, really, really well. Let's just take a look at a couple of things here. So she has more than 2 products, okay? Feel free to do that if you have the capital to do that. If you don't have the money, focus on the 2 that you're doing, okay? This does get it a little bit more complicated. I generally recommend people stick with 2, but this might be one of the reasons why she's doing really well. So she's got them in different areas. It looks like 2 high tech right now and a low tech, but they're in different coordinates. So you want to make sure that you're not competing against each other. So when you have 2 in the same area, you can very easily start to compete against each other. So this is your high tech circle, this is your low tech circle. If you have a high tech that's here and then one down here, that might not be a bad thing. You could have 3 products, one in the low tech, one kind of in the middle bubble, and here, probably not competing with one another. But if yours end up coming out to be a little bit close, and I'm just going to pull it up here because we can see it. These here, Apple is almost on top of these. So these products here are going to definitely start to compete with one another, and I think that's a worry. So Sarah, just be careful with where you're putting them, because you do want some differentiation, because now you're competing against yourself. Now you might be getting more competition away from other folks, but really you want to make sure that you have some good differentiation between each of these areas. So that would be one thing that I just kind of watch out for sure. Now you will have, I think you have 4 products in the Capsim game for your final. So you will have 4 products, so managing them isn't a bad thing. It just gets a little bit tricky when you get into production and you're trying to balance your budget, because you have to, whatever you spend down here, you got to raise, so you need to make sure you raise it, okay? So That would probably be my only watch out, is kind of where you're at, but your cumulative margin's great, you're doing really well, so I'm not worried about it. Just be mindful of where you're placing them so that you're not competing, and make sure that you kind of stay at different ends of these ranges so that you're there, I guess, would be my recommendation. Okay, so that's my recommendation for Sarah, but otherwise looks really good, doing really well. It's hard to pick that apart when her results are as good as they are. So now I'm going to go ahead and take a look at where I think, I don't know if, let me see which one it was because I can't remember. I cannot remember which one I had. Baxa, it was Baxa. Okay, Ambers. I'm going to go ahead and log into Ambers, and we're going to take a look to see what's happening here. So the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and look at her front page, and we're going to notice that she has an emergency loan, and I anticipated that. That's one of the reasons why financially you don't do well. So certainly that emergency loan is taking a hit. 22% margin, 9 million cumulative profit, 24 million in sales. Not horrible like when we were doing the practice rounds, but in relationship to her competition, she's got a lot of room to grow here. Okay, so taking a look at, again, 3 products. Don't buy 3 products if you can't afford 3 products. So you got to be really careful. You don't have the financials for 3 products. I wouldn't introduce 3 products. Okay, so this is going to be probably difficult to manage because you can't improve all of your areas. Contribution margin for a Rome in the low tech is 48%. So really, really good. But your Able is not in a really good spot. So that's a problem. And your MTBFs are all off. I'm not sure why they're that way. So that's why I think you're having issues. So when you look at your customer buying criteria, you want to make sure, see, A Rome is right here. Well, where's your low tech? A Rome is way on the end here. You want to be somewhere in your low tech range. So make sure that they are somewhere in relationship. MTBF is really not that important. The higher the number, the more reliable it is. And if you're selling a low cost item, it's costing you more money to have something at 25,000 MTBF. You don't want it that high. It's just too high. It should be at like 18, maybe even 17. Well, that's high tech. Low tech should be at like 17 or 18. Oh, hi, that's switch right. Oh, you could even go to 16. So your MTBF is a much lower range. You could do 15,000, and it'll cost you a little bit to make that change, but you don't need all of that for sure. Also, your age should be 3 years for the low tech. So make sure when you're creating those low tech items that they're 3 years. Able is, but Rome is pretty new. So I would adjust this, make this much less reliable, and lower that price. Your prices are too high. So we have a little bit of work to do. See, if you look at Able, you're at 37. You do have some low tech at 25, but you want to make sure that you're pulling a profit in there. So I'm just going to go over to your decisions and take a look at what we have going on here. So for your low tech, Able and Rome, these I would definitely lower to, it's going to cost you a little bit to do this, but it's going to reduce the cost of your product. So look at what happens when I do that. Now your product cost, material cost, goes down considerably from what it was. So this is costing you too much money. Even for the high tech, you don't need it this high. So I would definitely make those changes. Those are little changes to make, but it will reduce your overall cost and increase your contribution margin. So huge, huge movements. Now you have to decide what a SAFA is. So is a SAFA going to be a high tech? Right now it's pretty expensive, so you probably want to sell it as a high tech. You might want to keep working on moving it into the high tech. This Able or Rome, you need to move. You want to make differentiations here. So I would have SAFA down here, Able in the middle, Rome into the low, and then you're not competing against one another. okay? But you don't have that much money to work with for a 1 round, so you're gonna have to make some pretty small incremental movements. So this is not the right number, but just to illustrate at all, not the right number. Ooh, I don't want to move. Well, able. So able, I just moved a little bit further in. For sure, and then Rome could come down to, I don't know why it's at a 15 for size, because it shows 13 here. That doesn't help us any. Oh, I want to undo what I just did because now I just cost us. No, I don't think it moved it. Maybe Safa you can move down a little. Move that to a 10. Cost you a lot. So Safa would be down here. Able's here. You're starting to create a little differentiation between the two. You can't really do all of that in 1 round, but you can kind of see how I'm moving these. That's really what needs to happen. And then you have to look at kind of your cost as you're doing this. So now I'm going to go into marketing, and I'm going to take a look at what my contribution margin is for each of them. So Able and Roma are low cost. So we need to adjust this for sure. And they're not that much. Roma is like, I think Able was better, more techy than Roma. So Roma should be cheaper. So I would definitely do like a 31 here. Need to lower that price. Your promo budget isn't doing anything, so this definitely needs to be increased. And if I look up here, if you spend 1 million, you will end the year with 62%. 2 million budget would yield 85%. 3 million would yield 89%. So let's do this, because you need to definitely increase that. That's not enough. You're not going to make money this round. We're going to have to borrow some money. And then your sales budget can't be more than 3 million across each, I think. You lose. A combined 3 million will attain 72%. Yeah, you don't get much after that. So you're going to spend $1 million here. What you're doing isn't enough. So you're not promoting, you're not selling. And then I just want to take a look at high-tech price range is $25 to $45. So you're above the price range, so you don't want to be above the price range either for ASAFA. So definitely that's an issue. So then the other thing you need to do is start figuring out your forecast and where you should be. I think it's under production actually. So low tech. Roma, we sold 2, and you stacked out, so you didn't have any. And Able, you sold 592 at 8%. You don't have any customer survey. Your accessibility is low, and your customer awareness is low. So I'm not going to increase this too much. I don't even know if you have the ability to do this. So and then this is going to be brand new. How I'd probably look at this, because it's new and I don't know what it's going to do. I would look at high tech. And This group is between 300 and 700 is what is probably where you're gonna open up at, so 400 looks good. I don't know if you have the production for it though, because you didn't have any money. There we go. All right, so positive, less promo and sales, so that looks good. So now I'm going to go to production. This is provided we sell it, but we have to have our prices in the right spot. So you don't have any product, you can't do any of this. So you didn't build any production. You have all this automation and you have no production. So my recommendation, so you can't actually sell anything this year in either of these. How much do you get? You have 1,100 on hand. You can't even, you have too much. Okay, so you don't have anything to produce, so that needs to be updated. And then I'm going to go back to marketing because we are not spending money on products that you can't produce. So this is going to be 0, this is going to be 0. You can't sell any of this because you don't have any production. You have to build your production. Okay, so this is my recommendation. Even with the lower cost, we can sell. We need to make some money. Yes. The issue that we're having is you can't make any money. You've spent all this money on production or on building and research and design, but we can't sell anything because you don't have anything. So this round is going to be really tough for you. Not going to make anything. So I wouldn't touch any more automation. I would leave everything as it is. Right now your first shift capacity is 800 times 2, so it's 1,600. I'd probably spend some on recruiting because you want to get some people in. And how much extra would you spend per person to recruit? That's $1,000, 20 hours of training, recalculate. You have a negative 78% because you're not even, this makes me cry. Okay, so now go to finance. You need some loans because your stock earnings per share, price per share is 11. $1,962. You're going to issue some stocks so that you can get some money. So you need that, and then you're going to have to get loan because this is why you're have emergency loans. You're not making any money. Okay. So I don't know that you can spend money on TQM because you have no way to pay for it right now. So your TQM is going to stay the way it is this round. So that's what I would do. And if you're struggling like this and you're not sure what to do, you need to be contacting me. You need to be setting up appointments with me so that we can sit down and talk about what you need to do and how to better understand. There's a ton of information in class materials, and I apologize for how Blackboard looks right now. It's a mess. But this round you should be doing competition rounds 3 and 4 and Blackboard quiz 3, which should be checking. This is what I'm having a problem on this computer, and I'm not sure why. But you should be checking out each of the learning plans. I do want to call out that there's some really great weekly webinars out there. Make sure that you're watching some of them. The Ninja series is really good, so watch those. But these videos is what's going to help you get through this a little bit faster. So let me know if you have any questions. Contact me if you're struggling. I am more than willing to make a video specifically for you to help you. But you need to start really sitting down and understanding this and reaching out for help if you need it, because the final, it doesn't get any easier than this. Okay? That is it.